Good morning, guys, and welcome back to Blessed Mess Mom. It is super early in the morning and I have a quiet house. I don't know how many of you guys wake up a little extra early just to get some things done and have a quiet house while the kids are still sleeping, but I am taking full advantage this morning. I want to talk to you guys about fermenting, and I want to talk to you guys about homemade apple cider vinegar and pear cider vinegar, and show you how easy it is and the process. And I guess I spoke too soon. I just heard a kid, but it's still quiet. So first thing I want to talk to you about is fermenting gadgets. When I started fermenting, I just had my mason jars and I literally used a bag of rocks for my weight. Then I found some of these old glass cookie presses at an estate sale, and I found 4 of them, and I'm like, those would make really great weights. So I used those for weights for a while, and then I got more into purchasing a few things for fermenting, and I have some glass weights that I'm going to show you in a few minutes. They're actually in all of the jars that I have here on the table to show you guys today. And then this is another option besides the glass weights, and I don't use these when I'm doing vinegars, but I use them with sauerkrauts and green beans and peppers and garlic. Works really well with, and it fits in the wide mouth jars, and you just put it down in there, you put your lid on top, and at first it's going to be really small, but as the stuff starts breaking down and fermenting, it continues to push it down into the jar. I just keep everything off of the top because you need everything underneath your water line or your liquid line. So and then the other thing you need when you're fermenting, besides the weights and your jar, is something with your something that's going to allow your jar to breathe. And at first I just used a regular old ring and a lid, a ring and a flat, and I just didn't tighten it down. And every day or two I would take it off and burp my jar. What I have gotten now are a couple of different options for that, so I don't have to burp my jars. I have these lids from Ball, and they have a little vent. This just came off of one of my vinegars, and what it does is it's got a little flap, and it does the venting itself. There's 4 little holes. Those are super nice. And then the other thing that I like is I like these little, they burp the jars themselves. There's a little hole here, and you use a ring, and you use this instead of the flat, and it burps itself. And I really like these too, because then I don't have to worry about, and that's what it looks like on your jar. And these are really nice to have, not expensive at all. I think I got 4 for $10. And these lids and these springs come in a set in a box, and you get 2 lids and 2 springs, and they're at Walmart, and I think they're like $10 a box, $8 or $10, really inexpensive. So when you're fermenting, really, that's all you need. You need your jar, you need your weight, you need a lid of some kind, and you can make it work from literally what you already have in your kitchen, or getting a couple little gadgets. And there are way more things out there for fermenting, and things that are way more high-tech and complicated, and I just like to leave it simple. And so these are the things that have worked out the best for me. But I want to tell you, I've gone to making all of my own apple cider vinegar, and it's so good for you, and it's so easy. And the stuff you buy at the store, you can get like where it's organic apple cider vinegar with the mother, which is what you want. It's like that slimy, almost kind of gross, floaty substance that you see in your organic apple cider vinegars. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a really good thing, and it's really good for you. It's just not very palatable. Some people take it out. I leave it in, but if I am taking like a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, or something where I'm taking it internally, I don't use that part. But when I am cooking, or if I am using it for anything else, I will use that part. It's not a bad thing. It's just not pleasant to look at, really. But 2 weeks ago, I started apple cider vinegar and pear cider vinegar. I've done the apple cider vinegar many times before, and I absolutely love it. But this is the first time I've tried pear cider vinegar. And these are half-gallon jars. And I'll show you here. If you want to see a before picture, I will link it below the post that I did a couple weeks ago to show you the at the very beginning. And then I did a 10-day side-by-side to show you kind of what it looks like. Let me see, which one has all the bubbles still going on? This one's got some bubbles. But they're really cloudy and pretty. I mean, they're perfect. They turned out really well. And they're still bubbling. And at 14 days or so, which it doesn't have to be exactly 14 days, you want to take out the fruit and then continue to let it sit on your counter or in a cool, dry place for another 4 weeks. So that's where we are right now. And I'm going to show you guys how I do that. And then I'm also going to start one of these and show you how easy it is to start one. And let me think here. I was going to show you guys one of these glass weights. We'll do the apple first. And I like to make sure everything that I'm using is organic. The apples and the sugar, and using just whatever apple you get from the store. If it's not organic, it takes a long time for those apples to break down. And I did an experiment with regular apples versus organic apples. And 6 weeks in, they still looked like they did the day that I put them in the jar. And this is 2 weeks in, and you can see that the skins have lost their color. The water is cloudy. It's turned into vinegar, and the other just didn't. And what I've got here is on the top, and it's kind of hard to get out. Well, I'll show you after I dump it, because it'll come out that way. Okay. These are the glass weights. They remind me of a hockey puck. They have a little knob in the center, but after the couple weeks, this is just kind of wet and slimy. And they fit in wide mouth jars, not small mouth jars. So there is our glass weight. And there is our vinegar. And I've got two more. And you're probably going, wow, that is a lot of stuff. Because I've got 3 half gallons of apple cider vinegar, 2 half gallons of pear cider vinegar. But I started a lot for a reason. I'm out, number one. And number two is, you'll see in a second, the amount of vinegar you get for such a large container isn't a huge amount. Like, you don't get a half a gallon of vinegar out of this. I've got a jar here I will show you, because I can almost guarantee you all 3 half-gallon jars are gonna fit in 1 half-gallon jar once I get all the fruit out. And these guys are so slimy. In this jar, I actually used those little glass cookie presses that I got from that estate sale I was telling you about. Okay, so let's see how this goes. Oh, I spoke too soon. We're gonna have more, which is awesome. Awesome. It's totally great. We go through it quite a bit. Anything that calls for a vinegar, for the most part, I will use this in. And I absolutely love bone broth, and I make a lot of it. And I use apple cider vinegar in with my bone broth. When I put my bones in my cooker and I cover them and the vegetables with water, I take vinegar and I put some vinegar, a little bit of vinegar in there, and I let it sit for an hour before I turn the roaster on, because it helps break down the bones. And so we've got a half a gallon, I'll show you, and then about a quart worth of apple cider vinegar. That's gonna sit on the counter for the next 4 weeks, and then it'll be ready to put in the refrigerator to use, and it will last indefinitely in the refrigerator, but we use it up, like I said, really quickly. So here is our pears, and like I said, the ring, and this is all you do is you stick it in your ring and put it on your jar, and you're good to go. And this one has a glass weight in it as well. And the glass weights and the tops of these jars, they're gonna be slimy. That's totally normal and totally okay. It might gross some people out, but there's nothing wrong with it. Oh, there's my other jar. That one almost didn't want to come off. And again, I'll get my glass weight out of there. both. And there's our pear cider vinegar, and that's gonna sit on the counter, cool, dry place for the next 4 weeks. I usually just take a dry erase marker and write it right on the glass jar. That way I know when it's time to get them in my bottles and put them in the refrigerator. And the pear cider vinegar, from what I'm told, I haven't tried it because this is the first time, is very, very good. Just to take a spoonful of it, it's very palatable. Vinegar can be harsh, and if you just go to the store and buy regular, cheap apple cider vinegar, not organic or anything like that, just regular, you know how harsh white vinegar is, and apple cider vinegar is just as harsh. It burns your nose. If you get the organic, it's still kind of harsh. This stuff doesn't burn your nose, and it's so good for you to take internally. Just take a spoonful of it in the evening before you go to bed. It's really, really good for you. And what I want to show you now is I want to show you how to start one with 3 ingredients. All you need are your organic apples, your organic sugar, and water. And so what I've got is I've got about 6 apples, and I got more cider than I thought I was going to. So I'm going to go grab a jar and go grab some water, and I will be right back to show you how to start your own. Okay guys, I am back. So I've got several little apples here, and these, like I said, are organic apples. So I'm going to use the whole thing. I'm going to use the skin, the stems, the seeds, the whole thing. There's no mess or fuss with having to peel them and all of that. So, and if I see a bad spot, I'm just going to cut it off and set it over to the side. But I mean, this takes literally like 5 minutes to start, and I am busy and I have 4 kids, and I like things that don't take a whole lot of my attention. So if I can make something with this amount of nutrition and probiotics, and that is so healthy and so good to have on hand for my family, and it's something that I pretty much spend 5 minutes putting together and then set it, and I can go on about my day, I'm really happy. Anything that like bone broth, it doesn't take long to get it put together, to get it put on the stove, or get it in the turkey roaster, because I usually make a really large batch at a time, and get it going and leave it and go about my day. And those kind of things make me very happy. So I've done about 7 little apples, and you want about, I'll get that later, a teaspoon of organic sugar per apple. And, well, I'm going to put some of this apple in if it's good. It had a bad spot. So we got 7.5-ish apples in here. Took 2 minutes. Then I'm going to grab my organic sugar. And I'm going to do about 8 teaspoons worth. If you do a little bit more, it's not a big deal, because the bacteria is going to be eating the sugar. That's what it's going to feed off of to make your vinegar, and a little extra sugar, excuse me, it's just going to make it a little bit happier. Not a big deal. So I got a tablespoon here. So there's 3 teaspoons, 6 teaspoons, 8-ish. And then I'm just gonna top it off with, I have some filtered water. Now I'm not gonna take this all the way to the top. You can see here, I'm not gonna take it all the way to the top, and here's why. My glass, let's see here. My glass weight is a little heavy, so it's going to make that water rise, push down your apples. So you're about here. And then these are going to make the water level rise a little bit as it starts becoming vinegar. So that's all I'm gonna do there. I've got a clean little self-venting, and there you go. That's all it took. Less than 5 minutes, maybe like 3.5, 4 minutes. And then this is just gonna sit on my counter for the next 2 weeks, just like the other ones did. And in 2 weeks, your liquid's gonna look like this. And it's amazing. You're gonna see in the next 24 to 48 hours, awesome bubbles and fizz and just a lot of stuff going on with your apples. And just so you know, if you see some growth of like a little bit of mold, like a little bit of white fuzz or something, that's totally fine because vinegar eats mold. If you see anything black or green or dark colored, I would throw it out and start over, because honestly, it's not worth the risk. I mean, maybe your jar wasn't as clean as it should have been, or some little germ got in there, and it's just not worth it. Just toss it out and start over. But I mean, that's all there is to it. And it's got amazing probiotics in it. It's good for cooking. It's so good for your body. My kids even like it. Well, let's say 2 out of 4 of my kids. My oldest is super picky and my youngest is tiny. So my 2 middle kids, they really enjoy the taste of this, and it's really good for their digestive tract and things, and just for overall wellness. But if you have any questions, put them below and I will be happy to answer anything that I can. And what I do with my leftovers after I take the fruit out, at this point, I would love to be able to throw them into a compost or something along those lines, but we're just not there yet. So I just toss them. And if you guys have any ideas or anything that you would like to see, or see videos posted about, put those below too, and we'll get some more videos out for you guys. So until next time, have a great day, guys.